Our journey through colonial America begins in the warm sunshine of Florida. The year is 1565. The Spanish, eager to expand their empire, establish St. Augustine. This becomes a pivotal moment. It marks the first permanent European settlement in what we now know as the United States. Decades later, a new chapter unfolds. In 1607, the English arrive on these shores. They establish Jamestown, Virginia. This marks the start of English dominance in this new world. These early settlements are not for the faint of heart. Life is incredibly difficult. Colonists face a wilderness teeming with unknown dangers. They battle disease, hunger, and the ever-present threat of conflict with the native inhabitants of this land. But amidst these trials, a spirit of perseverance takes hold. These early colonists, driven by a thirst for new beginnings and opportunities, lay the foundation for a nation yet to be born. Jamestown, the first permanent English settlement, becomes a story of struggle and survival. The early years are marked by hardship and loss. The winter of 1609 to 1610, known as the Starving Time, pushes the colonists to the brink. Disease and famine sweep through Jamestown, decimating the population. It is a time of unimaginable hardship, testing the very limits of human endurance. But from the ashes of despair, a glimmer of hope emerges. John Rolfe, a young colonist, introduces a new crop tobacco. This brown gold proves to be the colony's salvation. The demand for tobacco in England soars, breathing economic life into Jamestown. Plantations spring up across the region, forever altering the landscape and society of Virginia. The Jamestown story becomes a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the transformative power of a single cash crop. As decades pass, 13 distinct English colonies emerge along the Atlantic coast. Each colony develops its own unique character and way of life, shaped by geography, economics, and religious beliefs. The New England colonies, with their cold winters and rocky soil, turn to fishing, shipbuilding, and trade. Religious fervor thrives in this region, with Puritanism leaving an indelible mark on the social fabric. The middle colonies, blessed with fertile land and a more temperate climate, become the breadbasket of colonial America. Wheat, barley, and oats flourish in their fields. These colonies attract a diverse mix of settlers, English, German, Dutch, and Scots-Irish, creating a melting pot of cultures and religions. The southern colonies, with their long growing seasons and abundance of land, embrace agriculture on a grand scale. Tobacco, rice, and indigo become their staple crops, cultivated by the labor of enslaved Africans. This reliance on slavery casts a dark shadow over the southern colonies, shaping their social structure and their destiny. The story of colonial America cannot be told without acknowledging the complex and often tragic interactions between European settlers and Native Americans. In the early years, relationships are marked by a mix of cooperation and conflict. Native Americans, with their deep knowledge of the land, teach the newcomers how to survive in this new environment. Trade becomes a cornerstone of their interactions, with furs, tools, and food changing hands. However, as the colonial population grows, so too does the demand for land. This insatiable hunger for territory leads to increasing tensions and eventually to open conflict. Treaties are broken and wars erupt, leaving a trail of bloodshed and displacement. The Powhatan Confederacy in Virginia, the Pequot tribe in New England, and countless other Native American nations find themselves caught in a struggle for survival against a relentless tide of European expansion. By the 18th century, the colonies are thriving. Population growth explodes, fueled by waves of immigration from Europe and a high birth rate. Cities like Boston, New York, and Philadelphia blossom into bustling centers of commerce and culture. Ships laden with goods from across the Atlantic crowd their harbors. In the countryside, farms and plantations sprawl across the land, providing food and raw materials for a growing population. Colonial society is far from a monolith. It is a tapestry woven from diverse threads. Farmers, merchants, artisans, and landowners each play a role in the colonial economy. Religious differences add another layer of complexity, with Puritans, Quakers, Anglicans, and Baptists vying for influence. Amidst this bustling and dynamic society, new ideas begin to take root, ideas that will ultimately challenge the very foundations of colonial rule. Section 6, Seeds of Revolution, the Enlightenment and the Great Awakening. Two powerful intellectual currents sweep through colonial America in the 18th century, the Enlightenment and the Great Awakening. The Enlightenment, a European intellectual movement emphasizing reason, logic, and individual rights, finds fertile ground in the colonies. Benjamin Franklin, a true embodiment of the Enlightenment spirit, becomes a leading voice for reason and progress. The Great Awakening, a series of religious revivals, stirs the souls of colonists, calling for a more emotional and personal faith. Preachers like Jonathan Edwards captivate audiences with their fiery sermons, emphasizing the importance of individual piety and challenging traditional hierarchies. These two movements, seemingly at odds with each other, plant the seeds for revolution. The Enlightenment, with its emphasis on individual rights and self-government, sows the seeds of political dissent. The Great Awakening, by challenging established authority, fosters a spirit of independence and a willingness to question the status quo. Together they create a climate ripe for change. Our Section 7, The Road to Revolution, Taxation without Representation. The French and Indian War, a costly conflict between Britain and France for control of North America, ends in British victory in 1763. But this victory comes at a price. The war leaves Britain deeply in debt, and the British Parliament, seeking to replenish its coffers, turns to its American colonies for revenue. A series of taxes, including the Stamp Act of 1765 and the Townshend Acts of 1767, are levied on the colonies, sparking widespread resentment. Colonists cry out against taxation without representation, arguing that they should not be subjected to taxes imposed by a parliament in which they have no voice. Protests erupt across the colonies, from the streets of Boston to the taverns of Charleston. The Boston Massacre in 1770, in which British soldiers fire upon a crowd of unarmed colonists, further inflames tensions. The Boston Tea Party in 1773, a daring act of defiance in which colonists dump British tea into Boston Harbor, becomes a rallying cry for resistance. The road to revolution is paved with acts of defiance, both large and small, as colonists assert their right to self-determination. Section 8, The American Revolution, a Fight for Freedom. In April 1775, the simmering tensions between Britain and its American colonies boil over into open warfare. The battles of Lexington and Concord, the first armed clashes of the American Revolution, signal that a point of no return has been reached. The colonists, once loyal subjects of the British Crown, take up arms to defend their liberties. In July 1776, the Continental Congress, meeting in Philadelphia, takes a bold step. It adopts the Declaration of Independence. This momentous document, drafted by Thomas Jefferson, proclaims the colonies' separation from Great Britain and their right to govern themselves. The Declaration of Independence becomes a beacon of hope and inspiration, not just for colonists, but for people around the world yearning for freedom. The American Revolution is a long and arduous struggle. The Continental Army, led by General George Washington, faces a formidable foe in the British Army. But the colonists, fueled by a passionate belief in their cause, persevere. From the bitter winter encampment at Valley Forge to the decisive victory at Yorktown in 1781, the American Revolution becomes a testament to the indomitable spirit of a people fighting for their freedom. Section 9. The Birth of a Nation and the Legacy of the Revolution. With the signing of the Treaty of Paris in 1783, Great Britain formally recognizes the independence of the United States of America. A new nation is born, founded on the principles of liberty, equality, and self-government. The American Revolution stands as a pivotal moment in world history. It inspires revolutions and movements for independence across the globe, from France to Latin America. The legacy of the revolution continues to shape the United States today. The ideals enshrined in the Declaration of Independence, that all men are created equal and endowed with certain unalienable rights, including the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, remain powerful and enduring. The American Revolution is a story of courage, sacrifice, and the unwavering belief in the power of ideas. It is a reminder that freedom is a precious and fragile gift, one that must be constantly safeguarded and